On today's episode of Locked On Canadiens, we'll cover the biggest stories of the National Hockey League over the weekend. Laura Saba returns to the show, and the Montreal Canadiens have won 5 straight games.
You're Locked On Canadiens, your daily podcast on the Montreal Canadiens, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into episode 1282 of Locked On Canadiens. Thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day and for subscribing wherever you get your podcasting. That supports the show and ensures you do not miss an episode. And you might want to, if you haven't subscribed already, you might want to start doing that now. We have a contest to announce. We'll get to that at the end of the show. But if that's a hint, if you have not subscribed, maybe hit that button on YouTube to let us know that you want to see us every day, a part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. And although she wasn't here every day for the last little while, Laura Saba, the active stick, returns to us with, the vibes in Montreal are already great. Now we've got our, a trade deadline acquisition basically to carry us over the gap. Laura, how are you? How was your time away? How do you feel about the Habs coming back after all that?
It's good to see that for the first time in a long time, I didn't go on vacation and see the Habs fall apart from afar. I did want to thank you for carrying the show. I have missed covering the team, honestly. Like, it was a really great vacation, really needed the rest, really felt great about it. But this is such a good time to be talking about the Montreal Canadiens. Literally the first thing I did as soon as I landed in Montreal was check the Montreal Canadiens score. Like, that's where we're at right now. And it seems like such a privileged place to be. I'm really happy to be back. Hi, listeners. Hope you missed me. I'm also very excited about our contest.
Yes, very excited about that as well. Again, we'll detail that at the very end of our show today, so stick in there. Again, the hint, go ahead and hit subscribe on YouTube if you haven't already. I'll stop prodding you for now, but that will be a regular feature of this show moving forward. All right, look, the Canadiens go into the weekend. They only had 2 back-to-backs left before the end of the season. They played one of them Saturday and Sunday, a very weirdly scheduled one where Montreal is at home on Saturday night, and then they fly to Nashville, of all places, to play on Sunday. They end up taking both of those games. I kind of want to talk about the Philly game first, because I think that one, Canadiens didn't start well. They sort of brought it on a little bit in the second. They were down 1-0 going into the third period. And it's funny, like, looking around Bluesky, at Habs fans, and they're all, the sky is falling for all of them. And I'm just sort of like, have none of you guys watched this team? Like, have none of you been paying attention over the last few weeks? And that's coming from me, somebody who at the beginning of the season was tracking that the Canadiens had, like, up until like middle of November, if they trailed at any point, they lost. They did not have that ability to come back. And now with that Flyers win, they have 10 come from behind wins in the third period, which leads the league. No team is better at coming back in the third period than the Montreal Canadiens. So, like, the fact that fans are kind of like very upset going into that third period, I was like, man, have you guys not been paying attention? They're gonna win this game. It's not like they're playing Samuel Ersson of all people. And look, it did take some star power to get that done. That goal by Lane Hutson was incredible. I still think watching it that maybe that puck doesn't go in if Samuel Ersson he's playing his post so hard, he kind of pushes the net back. And I think he pushed it back just enough for that to sneak in, as opposed to hitting the post and flying out. Those are the bounces that you have to get to win at this time of the year. I'm not sure how much of that game you caught, Laura, but like, it does seem like the Canadiens now have a knack for not being out of any game that they're playing.
I was on a plane for that entire thing. I stepped off the plane. Literally there were 105 messages in the chat that we have with Scott. And I was on a plane, right? So that's how that game went. And I think, obviously, as soon as I saw the messages, I went back to check the highlights. And honestly, we haven't even gotten to like tying the record yet, but like, I truly cannot believe how Lane Hutson landed in the Montreal Canadiens' lap. I truly cannot. Like, watching this kid play, not understanding how he didn't go top 5. But you know what? No regrets.
If his height started with the 6, there's no shot he gets to the Canadiens, even their second first-round pick. There's no chance he makes it to that spot. But like, because it didn't, and teams seem to, always discount that amount of size. By the way, I want to stop fans from doing something. I want to use this as an opportunity to sort of tell us to knock it off. Everybody is like very content or intent on going after these like scout writers and prospect writers who had Hutson ranked low and like who said he's too small. Like, what do you guys get out of doing that? I don't understand it. Like, if they didn't do that, he's not a Montreal Canadian. I don't be more clear. Like, those guys doing that helped Bobrov and Hugh Cook. I don't get why we're upset that like Corey Brown was like, he's too small. You're so right, Corey. No one should pick him until Montreal is available to pick him. And by the way, this a lot. Lane Hutson was the 4th player the Canadiens took in that draft. They thought there were 3 players who had a better chance of being impact players in the National Hockey League than Lane Hutson. So, like, I think we got to cool it. We just got to be stoked that the dude is really, really good. And the rest
and
of
ours.
Yeah, and he's ours. And nobody else. They better give him $100 million to stay in Montreal. And that's the long and short of it. I had to get that off my chest because, boy, it's been really bugging me watching everybody go after these writers as if like that changes anything. Just enjoy it. Just enjoy it for the sake of enjoying it. Anyway.
Okay, but wait. I have a thing. What about going after a writer I shall not name who said that Nick Suzuki's contract was one of the worst in the league?
That writer has since retracted that statement after being fed more information, which is that Nick Suzuki actually rules. The problem is that we knew that before. We already knew that he ruled. This wasn't news to us.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's fair game. I think, we got to stick by our takes, right? If I give a bad take, I know people are going to come after. And, to some extent, that's fair game. But at others, I'm like, that draft was like 3 years ago. We got to chill out. It's fine. Everything's great. So like, it's funny though, the Canadiens have, despite winning back-to-back, they shuffled their lineup a bunch out of necessity. Josh Anderson missed Saturday's game to attend the birth of his child, which congratulations to now dad strength Josh Anderson. May he have mercy on every team that he comes into contact with between now and the end of the year. So he comes out on Saturday. He plays on Sunday, but Emil Heineman and David Savard are now day-to-day, which is kind of scary. Those are, pretty important players for the Canadiens. Heineman took a bump against Boston that looked really bad, and then he played Saturday, but I wonder if Anderson could go Saturday if Heineman would have played at all this weekend.
Right.
So we'll see how those develop. The Canadiens have listed them both as day-to-day. Let's jump to this Nashville game, though. Arbor Xhekaj pulls back into the lineup, and Anderson rejoins the lineup. It's also Kapanen's second game with the Montreal Canadiens. And look, Kapanen was playing with Newhook and Laine, and I thought they played pretty well. That line scored at even strength. Patrick Laine had the game-winning goal. At a 5-on-5 goal for Patrick Laine in this economy is crazy. So that was really cool to see. An incredible feat from Lane Hutson. We'll talk about him tying Chelios in our second segment. But look, the story for the game on Sunday for me is 3 players. It's first of all Jacob Dobish, who after the first period, Canadiens fans were sending him back to Laval, a period in which he gave up 1 goal and he just didn't look good. And that's what was enough evidence for people to be like, we need to get Primo back in net. And then all he did was make 36 saves in that game and win it for the Montreal Canadiens. He was incredible on Sunday, a game that he needed. But I think the Canadiens just didn't let him get settled. And that's been the story. That was the story before you left, was that they didn't let Dobish get settled into these games. It was immediately, okay, the game's underway and we're underwater.
Right. And I think like that is a problem, especially since he hasn't been playing that much, right? He hasn't had there were so many games we thought they would start him. They started Monty instead. And I feel like it didn't allow him to get his groove back. So he needed more time to settle in to start with. But the Primo thing is immediately no. He's doing just fine in Laval.
Yes.
And Dobish is doing just fine here. He just needs the Canadiens to support him a little bit more.
Yep. Yeah, look, we'll cover Jacob Fowler signing his ELC in the third segment, but the other 2 players I want to talk about coming out of that game in Nashville are Yoel Armia and Jake Evans, who I thought were phenomenal. They were so great when the Canadiens needed that part of their lineup to be great. Not only penalty killing, which they were excellent at in this game, and they needed to be excellent because they only got one power play and they took a whole bunch of penalties. But they just didn't give Nashville much of anything later in that game when they needed it. I thought that those guys have been playing pretty poorly coming into this. I mean, Jake Evans is definitely snake bit as far as offense goes, and we know Army is dealing with some kind of ailment. We think to his left hand or wrist or something like that. So I thought they were phenomenal. And I'll say we don't need to pull up the meter on this because it's fine. But the Canadiens got a bad start from Mike Matheson in this one. He had a giveaway that led directly to a goal. But then the rest of the way, he was incredible. He played 31 minutes, almost 32 minutes in this game. He was full value, Mike Matheson, especially on the penalty kill. He was excellent. So look, those were the stories for the weekend for the Canadiens as they sweep their back-to-back series. And we'll leave those there. When we come back, we have to talk about some points, both for the team and points for some players who are chasing down some pretty cool milestones. And we'll get into all that in just a minute. Let me guess, you just realized that your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? It's easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling with your job posts getting seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored job post puts your post at the top of the page and helps you reach the right candidates faster. I've been in that spot where you need to hire like yesterday, and the pressure's on, and every day without that new person is a setback. That's exactly when Indeed sponsored job posts come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidates right now. Now you can speed up the hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed is all you need. All right, Laura, we're back. And a lot of the same races we were following before you went jet setting around the world, we're still following them, but in good ways. We're still tracking that a lot of these could be done. Let's start with the team, though, points-wise. Let's do a check-in on the playoff race. We talked about the Canadiens continuing to pick up points and put distance between them and the teams behind them. After game 77, the Canadiens have 85 points. Which is only 5 back of the Senators for the first wildcard spot. And with a game remaining between those two teams, it could be closer to 3. Maybe a hot week for the Canadiens if they continue to stretch this run and the Senators lose a couple and the Canadiens are all of a sudden in the driver's seat for the first wildcard. Then that would set them up to play the Leafs in the first round. I don't know how we feel about that. I would prefer not to.
I really don't want to.
Yeah.
I would prefer those two teams kill each other.
Yeah. I want a Battle of Ontario more than I want anything else. I think, other than it goes Canadiens making the playoffs, and then right below that, Battle of Ontario. I just want to see those guys put each other into the wall for 2 weeks. I think that would be incredible theater, and that would also give us Battle of Florida for what it's worth. So, 2 really great series, and then the Canadiens just go through the other side of the bracket because that's how Gary wants this to be set up. But look. 85 points, that puts them now 6 points ahead of the Rangers, who now have 1 game at hand. But that's 6 points separating Montreal and New York. I think Money Puck gives the Canadiens over an 80% chance of making the playoffs at this point. They're also 6 points up on Detroit, who beat Florida on Sunday. They're also 7 points up on the Islanders, who managed to beat Ovechkin and the Capitals, somewhat spoiling the party, but I don't think the Capitals cared at all that they lost that game. And the Columbus Blue Jackets are now 8 points back of the Canadiens. All of those teams have a game at hand, but that's at most 2 points. So the Canadiens have done what they need to do, which is pick up points. And they needed to do it this last week because the competition was softer. We'd all kind of talked about that. And going into next week, they've got Detroit on Tuesday, who they're not an easy out, especially right now. And then they have the Ontario back-to-back at the end of the week. Then they have Chicago and Carolina to end the season. So really only one more very, very soft game left on the calendar. And the Canadiens needed to pick up their points, and they picked them up. How are you feeling about their chances of making the playoffs right now?
I'm feeling pretty good. I actually I get asked about this right now, and it doesn't give me anxiety. It gives me excitement. Which is new. What I think would be really funny is if the Canadiens win all of the games except the ones against the one against Chicago. It is the Montreal Canadiens after all. Yeah. There's going to be something.
True to their core until the last moment of this season.
Exactly, until the last minute. It would be really nice if they lock it up before the very last game. But it's going to be an exciting 2 weeks or a week and a half, 10 days, right? It's April 6th when we're recording this. The season
Yeah.
ends on the 16th. But I think, there's still more surprises. Like, I feel pretty confident, but I don't feel like it's locked up yet.
Yeah, look, it's not over. I think I was looking at Magic numbers, and don't quote me on this, but I think they need 8 points between now and the end of the year to essentially put this away. And obviously that changes with how the teams below them interact.
Dude,
So it's 8
yeah.
points either they gain or other teams lose, and that would put them in. I see a lot of people putting around like, well, if the Canadiens do this record, then they don't need this and this, and the Rangers need to do this. And like, we just need to pause. Just wait for this stuff to work out. I treat all of that like I've treated the conditions on that Calgary first round pick that I'm still not certain Montreal is getting anytime soon. I just don't know how any of that's going to work out. Putting the team's success aside, let's talk about players. Let's talk about Suzuki, Hutson, and Caulfield. We'll start with Suzuki. He picks up an assist on the Caulfield goal in this game in Nashville. He's now at 84 points, which means over the last 25 plus years of this team, there's only one Canadian that has done that. That's Alex Kovalev in the 2007-2008 season. So the next point that Nick Suzuki gets will put him into a category that I have not seen in my time watching this team. And that many of the people who listen to the show and who watch it, I know that there's a lot of young Canadiens fans who are sort of coming into their own with this team. It's astounding that he just came back from Four Nations and decided, I'm actually going to be one of the best players on the planet, and you cannot stop me.
Right. Well, you said like the last 30 years. So like technically, like you will never have seen it. Like
No.
you've never seen this. So
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, there's something about his determination right now that I think is rubbing off on the rest of the team. Which, he's the leader, he's the captain. It's just incredible to watch him just pick it back up. He has like a bad shift, next one's good. He has a bad game, the next 10 are good, right? It's just incredible to see him just quietly dominate. And I think that's the biggest thing about Nick Suzuki is that everything that he does is meticulous, it's well thought out, it's perfectly placed, and it's never like something that everyone's talking about. He's just excellent. Like that's it. Like that's his default. He's just excellent.
Yeah, he's like Marty talks about this with players that are further down the lineup, but he's raised his floor, right?
Yeah.
The basement on what Nick Suzuki is a lot higher than it was last year and the year before. Like that's exciting that like on a bad night, Nick Suzuki is still really good. Like that's right. We've sort of come to expect that from him. Let's look at Lane Hutson now. 64 points. He picks up an assist on the game winner. I don't know what goes through his head when he sees passing lanes. It must be just like he's like watching equations play out in his head, and he just all of a sudden he sees Patrick Laine on the other side of the rink and knows I'm just going to get it to that guy, and you're not going to stop me. 64 points. He ties Chris Chelios for most points by a rookie defenseman in a season for the Montreal Canadiens. He's also only 2 assists back of Larry Murphy for the all-time most assists by a rookie defenseman in their rookie season. So it's very likely at this point that he not only has the Canadiens points record for a rookie defenseman, but also the league-wide assists record. He needs 3 to break it, 2 to tie it with Larry Murphy, who is one of the greatest defensemen who ever lived. It's so funny watching just him be mentioned with all of these names all the time. I don't know that we'll ever fully get used to it, but we better, because this is just what we're going to see from now until he decides to hang them up one day.
Today, we talk about the records he's beating of historic players. Tomorrow, the names that he's going to be mentioned with are the Cale Makars of the world, like Quinn Hughes, right? That's who we're going to be mentioning. Like that's who he's going to be in races against for points and things like that. Like this is just his rookie year. Even if he has a massive sophomore slump, right? Like the rest of his career is set up to be incredible. Just watching him, I don't think that there's really a chance that this could end up like overall negatively, because he's just so smart and so good and uses his gifts so well. I don't know. It's just it's so great to watch.
Yeah, it's like I've said a bunch on this show. that if you're excited about Lane Hutson, I want to be the one to tell you that this is the worst he's ever going to be, which is really scary for everybody else. And just every night he does one or two things at bare minimum that makes me laugh on my couch. Like I'm at home just giggling at the TV at this thing this small child has done, just embarrassing these older players. Last guy I want to talk about. Yeah, go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was gonna say, I
before I
wanna
move
see
on.
Lane Hutson at, like, age 27. Like,
Yeah.
it's gonna be insane, but also he's still going to look like an 8-year-old.
Yeah, come to think about they're if they make the playoffs this year, which is seeming likely at this point, the playoff beards are gonna look weird. That's gonna be a weird couple weeks. Like, I don't think Slav can grow one. I know Lane can't grow one. Gallagher still can't grow one. So we'll see how all that works out. That'll be fun. All right.
Really
Last guy I
funny.
wanted to touch on really quick was Cole Caulfield, 66 points with the goal that he scored, 36th goal of the season. So he only needs 4 to hit the 40 goal plateau. But 66 is a new career high for him, and he's doing it with a bunch of assists as well. So, Caulfield just continues to, again, raise his floor. He is a little bit snake bitten lately, but look, he's picking it up now. I think he'll snap back into his regular form, especially if he can pick it up in the last couple games of the regular season. And now we've got a red hot Cole Caulfield going into the playoffs. It's pretty exciting.
I think the Ontario road trip is a good time for him to, like, really get back.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
To really start, like, scoring those goals again.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. We'll put that there. We'll leave those guys. We're still tracking those. Stick with us every day on Locked On Canadiens. We'll be covering all of those points races, all of those milestones. Every single time we get behind these microphones and these cameras, we'll be talking about it. But we'll leave that there. And when we come back, we have news. Jacob Fowler signed his entry-level contract over the break, and we'll talk about what that means for the future of Montreal Canadiens goaltending when we come back.
Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? I'm doing that after my vacation, actually. Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery, cabs. Now I budget smarter and I save so much more. And managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared expenses and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year. This show is also sponsored by Farm to Fork, and I'm so excited to be back in Montreal because the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to order Farm to Fork. If you're a fan of a premium locally farmed meats delivered straight to your door, I've got some exciting news. Farm to Fork makes it easy to get high-quality steaks, air-chilled chicken, wild-caught seafood, and more, all with no antibiotics, hormones, or GMOs. Plus, everything comes flash frozen and individually packaged for your convenience. All Farm to Fork meats are raised on Canadian farms, so when you order, you're supporting local producers. It's time right now to buy Canadian. The meats are so delicious. Everything is so flavorful. Just take it from me. It is so worth it. And they get delivered right to your door. They're delivering all across Ontario and Western Quebec. And the delivery is free with a minimum order of $199. You don't even have to leave the house to get that quality, flavorful meat that I'm talking about. And I've got a special code just for you. You can use LOCKEDON40 to get $40 off your first order at Farm to Fork. That's the number 2. Visit farmtoforkdelivery.ca to start stocking up on the best meats around. Again, that's LOCKEDON40 for $40 off your first order at farmtoforkdelivery.ca. Farm to Fork, delicious locally farmed meats delivered straight to your door.
I caught it, Laura. I caught it. I was muted. Now I'm not. We're back. See, when you were gone, I referred to the third segment as a fourth line shift because I was just getting the puck in deep, trying not to make a fool of myself, trying not to take a penalty, do anything dumb. Just get the puck in deep and let the first line, aka Laura Saba, get back on the ice. So we did that for 2 weeks, and the first show back, I fall right on my face coming out of the final break. All right. Whatever. Look, when right as we ended the show, or right towards the end of the week, Jacob Fowler signed his entry-level deal with the Montreal Canadiens. It starts next season, 25-26. He did sign a 1-year deal with the Laval Rocket to make him eligible for the Laval Rocket as they make their run for the Calder Cup. And that might come in handy because it looks like in the game on Sunday, Laval is out in Abbotsford. It looks like Connor Hughes may have suffered some kind of injury. So now, hey, look, they have a built-in backup goalie waiting in the wings in Jacob Fowler, maybe a little bit sooner than they had anticipated. But hey, he was probably going to get a game before the end of the year anyway. It seems like now that's almost guaranteed that he'll find the net before the end of the year. What are your thoughts on Jacob Fowler? And the moment of him signing the contract, it seems like a lot of people were very trying to nail down exactly what he was thinking, and ultimately he ends up signing his deal anyway.
I was gonna say, wasn't there this whole thing about how he wasn't going to sign the deal? And I was trying to track down where that story came from. And again, if he did want to stay in the NCAA, that is 100% his choice, especially with goalies. They take a bit longer to develop. I don't think that would have been wrong in any way. But the fact that he wants to start his pro career is really exciting to me, because right now the Canadiens are not in a super rush, but we can see what they have, right? We can see what they have, and I'm excited. I'm very much in the Montreal Canadiens fan habit of getting overexcited about a player like this, but I just have to keep remembering that goalie curves are just longer.
Yeah. I mean, look, I watched him on Sunday, this Sunday against the Islanders in Charlie Lindgren. It's a perfect example of a goalie who didn't follow that curve.
Yeah.
He was their number one goalie last year for Washington. He got them into the playoffs almost single-handedly. And now he's one of the better backups in the National Hockey League behind Logan Thompson, who's another guy that has a little bit of a different curve in becoming a starting goaltender. So I do think that, a lot of folks this week had been talking about how, well, maybe he can back up Montreal next year because Dobish can't handle it anymore. I don't know where all this Dobish slander came from. It's kind of
Dobish is fine.
Yeah, I watched the games. He's been completely underwater from puck drop in every game that he's been in lately. And against Nashville, he was great. I'm going to be a Dobish booster for a while now. I'm putting him in my pocket along with Mike Matheson.
Do we need another chart?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, look, I mean, it's exciting that this player in Jacob Fowler. I watched his last game with BC. I thought he was good in that game. I thought that he did give up one Sam Montembeault goal, and that it was just from the point, and the puck just went right through him. And I was like, he's going to fit right in here. But I think it's exciting. I do think we need to curb our expectations for what we think this guy is going to be. We will see him, I would imagine, play games for the Montreal Canadiens in the preseason next year. And then they'll make a decision on the backup goalie, right? I don't know that decision is, the Canadiens are probably flexible on that. If someone comes into that preseason and outduels another one, they're probably going to keep that stuff open.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. It's a player who, the Canadiens got pretty deep into the draft, and one that is one of the better players at his position at his age.
Yeah.
So who knows? Do you think, what do you think is their expectation for him to potentially take over the starting job? It's not next year. It's probably not the year after that. We're probably a few years away, right?
Yeah, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, right? You don't want to rush it. And you never know. You watch Primo dominate in lower leagues, and he just couldn't translate his game to the NHL. You never know. You have to give him that opportunity.
Exactly. All right, we have some things to announce. Let's do our giveaway first.
Mm-hmm.
We want to get our subscriber numbers up on YouTube. We want to keep growing. We just passed over 4,000. So if you're one of those first 4,000 and whatever 50 it is now, thank you. But we want to keep growing this community, and we want to have more people come along for the ride. So we're trying to encourage more people to hit that subscribe button on YouTube. One of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to do a giveaway that's for subscribers only on YouTube. So how this is going to work is you're going to need to subscribe to our channel and place a comment. We're just place a comment that says contest entry on YouTube. You only need to do it once. we will be able to tell whether or not you are subscribed. YouTube tells us you cannot hide from us. We will see you and you will get added to the list if you are a subscriber. The winner, when we get to 4,500 subscribers, so 4,500 subscribers, the winner will get this signed Josh Anderson photo. It is about 8.5 by 11, I'd say. It's about printer paper. A photo of him in the Stanley Cup final, looking his most handsome, as Josh Anderson often does. But we're not done there.
I promise I will not rig this contest so that I win it.
I know. I told Laura, and she's like, "Is there any way I could win it?" I'm like, "Well, you'd have to subscribe, and also we can't do that. That would look really bad." And our stretch goal would be 5,000 subscribers. Once we hit that, we will be giving away this signed Arbor Xhekaj photo, same size as the Anderson one. So if you enter by subscribing. You only need to enter once. Just say contest entry. We'll check to make sure you're subscribed, and you'll get thrown onto our list. Stay subscribed, please, because if we do the drawing and you're no longer subscribed, you just did it to try to trick us. Nice try. We will know that you are no longer subscribed, and you will not get it. So those are the rules. There's really no timeline. Once we hit these, and I'll give them away. But that's where we're at. Laura, you got something to add?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that if you are already subscribed, you don't need to be a new subscriber to be eligible. If you're already subscribed, all you have to do is leave a message saying contest entry. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and leave a message.
There you go. You got it. Good luck. Tell your friends that we're not doing this drawing until we get a whole bunch more people in here. So good luck. And again, it's like the Carey Price one that I gave away a little while ago. I'm itching to get rid of these things. So come help me get rid of them. All right, let's do our trivia and head out of here. The question last week, which seems like an eternity ago because they played a whole bunch of games since then. That was Montreal's first regulation win against Boston on Thursday since November 5th, 2019. In that game, this former Montreal Canadiens defenseman scored 2 goals. Do you remember? I told you the answer to this one, Laura. Do you remember who it was?
I remember Ben Sherratt scored. Did Ben Sherratt score the game winner?
He scored the game winner. It was not him, though. It was Victor Mete. Victor Mete scored 5 NHL goals. 2 of them were in that game. I did not remember that game happened. And I went back and I watched the replay and I was like, that was a really great hockey game. I can't believe I erased that. But I think it was because that was November 2019. And a few months after that, the craziest thing happened and we don't need to revisit it. So that's right. It was, that was before that. The Nationals won the World Series before that. But no, of course, the pandemic hit. That was no fun. So I think that's why I erased that game from my memory. Anyway, the answer was, like I said, Victor Mete, and our winners. I'm pulling up our winners right now. We had a bunch. I will say we'll give it to David Waddy first on YouTube, who had Victor Mete. Xhekaj Face Punch, also with the correct answer. Jacob Henry, also with the correct answer. And Alexander Christian, all with the right answer. You have better memories than I, because I don't remember that game at all, but apparently it was great, and I should have remembered it. So if you haven't watched it, go back and watch the highlights from that November 5th, 2019 game. It's really fun. It's real who's who if I don't remember any of these guys.
Ben Sherratt, game winner.
Yeah, of course, naturally. I feel like he only scored game winners. I don't know if that's true. All right. Today's question, in honor of Jacob Fowler making 36 saves in Nashville, that is the most saves in a win in Nashville for the Montreal Canadiens since this goalie. So give me the goalie. The last time a goalie made at least 36 saves in a win for the Montreal Canadiens in Nashville was this goalie. Well, if you have the answer, put it in the comments on YouTube. While you're down there, subscribe if you haven't been already. And you can email it to us at lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com. We'll shout you out on the next episode of the show. And that's going to do it for us today on this episode of Locked On Canadiens. Thanks so much for tuning in and for making us your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On NHL podcast, bringing you the daily league-wide stories that matter with the local coverage you love from Locked On. Find Locked On NHL on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're also available on Amazon Fire TV. On your free Fire TV channels app, click the Montreal Canadiens logo in the hockey section, and you can watch all of our episodes there as well. We are Locked On Canadiens in most places you can find social posts, TikTok, Instagram, and Bluesky. Locked On Canadiens on all those platforms. Like I said, lockedoncanadiens@gmail.com is the best place to reach us via email and send us your mailbag questions for the end of the week. We do a mailbag every Friday. We love to hear from you guys. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will see you guys tomorrow.